Hi, I'm Lynn Doyle, and welcome to Health Awareness. This is where we talk about all kinds of health-related matters, things that may happen to you, things that may happen to your family, things that you can control, things that you need help controlling, the whole gamut of health. But today we're going to talk about something that's serious and then fun. And so I'm very excited to have as my guest today Adina Sandberg. Adina from Alzheimer's Day Services here in Memphis, right? And Beth Marzinski, my friend Beth, who's with Carriage Court.
Thank you.
Here
it's
in
good
Memphis.
to be here.
Thanks. It's great to have you guys. I know that we want to do a couple of things today. And I know that we want to talk some about Alzheimer's Day Services, what that means, what kinds of clients you see. And then Beth, I know that Carriage Court, which is a wonderful place, by the way, and we'll talk about that for a few minutes as well, but is one of the sponsors for the trivia night, which is ever so much fun, and we're going to talk about that.
Good.
So let's start with Adina. Adina, tell me a little bit about what you do at Alzheimer's Day Services.
Okay. We are a social agency geared to people who have some form of dementia.
Okay.
We have two different centers. One is on Hickory Hill and Knight Arnold. We call that Dorothy's Place. And the other one is called Gratiot Center. It's located inside Kennedy Park on Raleigh LaGrange. So we try to cover different areas to try to meet the needs of the population.
Right.
And unfortunately, it is a growing need. We service up to about 100 people per day is our capacity. We're a daycare program that runs recreational activities for people with the dementia to keep them active both socially and physically. We do a lot of different types of activities, a lot of exercise, lots of music, all kinds of games, tossing and throwing games, bingo games, of course, art activities, cooking activities. And for each person, we try to really individualize what their interests are, try to find out where they'll be happiest. Sometimes it's painting, sometimes it's the calling out bingo, and it's a social setting. We were just talking about the importance of socializing. And even if it's not a social person, just getting out of the house is just a real helpful thing. And again, we're keeping them stimulated.
Yes.
And then just at the same time, of course, we're giving that relief to the families, which is so needed with this unfortunate disease.
It is, and what a great way to put it. We all need respite from the things in our life that cause us stress, and sometimes, as much as we may love someone, when they're totally dependent on us, we just need that little break. And that's really what you all do. You offer that break, but at the same time, you open really an incredible door for folks who suffer with this kind of dementia to be able to come in and really sort of use all kinds of parts of their brain. Exactly. You talked about things that are very prescribed, like cooking and maybe card playing or bingo or something that's pretty specific, to listening to music, art, ways that you can create. So you're really using all kinds of sides of your brain. Right?
Exactly.
That's awesome. And so if I have, for example, if my mother had Alzheimer's and I really needed some rest, but more importantly, I needed her to be able to socialize, I could drop her there in the morning.
We open at 7 a.m.
Okay.
We close at 6 p.m.
Wow.
And we really are there for the family, again, whatever works best for the family's needs. Some people come early in the morning, some people close to lunchtime. It's what works best for everybody's needs. So we are available from 7 till 6 every day, and some people will come every day, others just a few days a week, or even just one day a week, depending again on what their needs are.
That's perfect. I love that. I think you work with everybody's schedule, and I'll have to confess I have been to Dorothy's Place, and I do love it. I love it that when you walk inside, I'm telling secrets here, but there's that whole wall that's painted with books, so there doesn't look like there's a door, even though we know there is a door. And for folks who have that level of dementia, it is more protective for them. I'm sure it makes them feel better, almost makes them feel like they're at home too when they see those painted books on the shelf. There's comfortable furniture. It's really a wonderful place.
They're not only a resource for the families and their clients. Carriage Court, we offer memory care full-time. It's residential at Carriage Court, but Ruth Ann Shelton is their executive director, and the availability of their staff for training, they have trained our staff. Sometimes we go to Dorothy's Place or the Gratiot Center, but
Yes.
sometimes we may have someone that has moved there that we're moving into a new phase, and we're finding it difficult to maybe get bathing done or something specific. And I know many times we've called Ruth Ann, and she's come out and she's watched our resident with us and given our staff some specific guidelines. And just a really quick example, I think bathing is so personal, and as memory loss progresses, that it is sort of the last bastion of independence. And so certainly for me, I'm not going to, it's going to be difficult for me to undress in front of somebody else.
Sure.
And that's natural. And Ruth Ann, in this one difficult situation, in the end, she gave us many, many tips, but then she said, what I would do if that was my mom is I'd bathe her with her clothes on. And I remember everybody in the team meeting said, what? And then she was very specific about turn the shower on. What do we care if her clothes get wet? She'll take her socks off. Oh, look, your socks are wet. Let's get them off. Hand her the washcloth. She'll bathe with her socks. And you can put clean socks on, even though they're going to be wet. And then at the end of the shower, you say, my goodness, you're sopping wet. We have to get you changed. And I'll be darned if it didn't work.
That's amazing.
It was amazing. And the family I know that may be listening will remember specifically. It moved us to a new level, and there wasn't that sort of tension that can come from that. And so the specific resources, there's global resources, and then very specifically, because it's different for every single person.
Absolutely, absolutely. Beth, that's great. That was a wonderful example, because...
So remember to bathe me with my clothes on, Adina, okay?
We're always going to do that. It's you know what, it is so difficult. Beth brings up a great point, and that is that for families who are going through this, to watch somebody who they love and they want cared for, to even leave them with someone is a huge deal. It's frightening. I know you see that at Carriage Court as well. Even though they're both wonderful places, there's some fear there. So to be able to have staff who are loving and caring and compassionate and know that they're going to work with a family as well as with a client, there's such a comfort there, I think.
I'm sure you hear that you're an answered prayer for many,
Very
many
often
families.
people have told us we are a lifesaver.
I'm sure.
It allows the caregiver to go to work. It allows them to just run errands without somebody right behind them, or just take that nap that they so need,
And then there's another whole dimension to it, and that is for a caregiver, if I'm giving care to someone every day without respite, you know what's going to happen to me.
Exactly.
I'm going to get sick. And if I get sick, then I'm not available at all for this person.
Right, exactly.
So what a wonderful way to also, I remember taking my child to daycare when he was little and saying, I'll always be back to get you, in that whole song, I'll always be back to get you. And he would believe that, and I think that's a lot of what you all do. I trust you with these folks. I'm leaving you, but I'll come back and get you. And so there's a real comfort there. Anyway, I just love what you do. I think that's awesome. But that said, you can't do it for free. And I know that the very small price you ask people to pay for their folks to be able to come in for a day. So I know that the cost of that has to be subsidized. There's no way what I pay you will be enough for that day. So there are events, and that brings us to Beth and the most exciting event of the year.
We are thrilled to be a part. Trivia night. It's March 3rd, coming up on a Saturday night. We've been participating. I think the event is 7 years old. I think we've been in it 7 years. So one of the fun things about Trivia Night is it does give your brain a little bit of a workout.
It does.
So there is always, and I think that's one of the classic helpful signs with Alzheimer's Day Services is you can have a ton of fun, but they're always going to work you out a little bit on your brain. So that's the theme this year we're real excited about is comics and cartoons. Remember when they were cool? And I can certainly remember.
Me too.
And even today I still sometimes refer to Wonder Woman bracelets and all kinds of things like that. And sometimes my children think I'm losing it, but. What the event that night, one of the things we're very excited, we have a title sponsor, Attendant Care Services. That's a company that's owned by a wonderful resource in the community, Catherine Feinstone.
Yes, she is.
She is amazing, and again, if you can get the resources available so that families know how to get some help, they'll know when to get it.
Sure.
And Catherine is a great person to plug us into those resources in her company. So we're grateful for that. But then Carriage Court and the pharmacy that we use, Farm Care, are the dessert bar sponsors. So,
and wait, I have to stop you because it's not just your normal dessert.
No.
It's not a little, when you get a dessert, you think somebody's going to cut you a little slice of cake. Not like that at all.
This is not right. This is not the schoolyard lunch slice of cake.
Yep.
These are enormous, oversized pieces of cakes and pies, and they're homemade. They're donated by all of the volunteers for Alzheimer's Day Services, and that's just a little piece of the fun. If there are 10 rounds that go on, and I know we're still looking for some round sponsors, so. I would love to challenge all of the other senior communities to come on board as a round sponsor or a table sponsor. But during those rounds, it's very social and conversational. In the dessert bar, people can come and get a little sugar push if they're feeling a little low. But I think those slices are $5 a piece.
They are, and they're incredible. I've seen this event, been to it. It's unbelievable. But let me stop you and let's talk a little bit for folks who have no idea what we're talking about when we say trivia night.
Oh.
Let's paint the picture of what it really looks like. You walk into
Walk into a large auditorium. This year it's at the Great Hall in Germantown.
Which is fabulous, and those are great people out there.
Perfect. And believe it or not, the team that sets up the decorations for the day, they're able to make it intimate and fun, and it'll have the whole theme of comics and cartoons. But the great thing about it, Lynn, is that people that you work with and see day to day, they may show up as Wonder Woman.
Absolutely.
They may
They'll
show
be dressed
up
up
as Spider-Man. They'll be dressed up, and there is a contest for the team that comes that is in the best costume as a team that meets the theme. There's also a great contest for table decorations.
Yes.
So anybody that watches TLC or HGTV, they'll also be trying to get hints for that. But you can win prizes, and these prizes are fabulous. They're movie tickets and bottles of wine and just all kinds of things, T-shirts and tickets to the Redbirds and just all kinds of things. So it's really a fun time for colleagues to come together. Mm-hmm. But what happens is when it gets serious, the facilitator is Brother Ignatius.
It's fabulous.
He is famous for trivia, and it's not your mama's trivia. He has gone to great lengths to not necessarily obscure, but you do need to know you can make an educated guess. So the way it works is there are 10 rounds, mm-hmm. and again, Wonder Woman may be pitted against the Spider-Man team, and we're all in the room together, and there's a team captain that Brother Ignatius asks the questions. He moves it along at a pace that's fairly brisk, mm-hmm. and then during the break is when the round sponsors really get their promotion time, and they're able to thank Alzheimer's Day Services for the support they give their business, but also for the ADS to say hey to those businesses. So the breaks and the rounds are really as much fun as the rounds themselves. And they're scored. There's a giant screen. So if you have a competitive bone in your body, your team has a number, and you can follow where your team is scored. Our team, we're not so much on trivia, although we love to do it at Carriage Court, and we actually have it as an activity there. Mm-hmm. We're in it for the decorations and the costumes.
All about the costumes.
We start planning and thinking about that, and just are really proud to be a part of that.
It's so much fun, and I'll tell you, your ego gets a workout too.
Yeah.
Because some of these questions, well, all that to say, what happens with Trivia Night is the money, the proceeds from Trivia Night, from the generous sponsors to people who buy tables, to people who just come and buy a ticket and participate, all goes to help your mission, which is to subsidize what folks are able to pay you so that people can socialize and have a great day and people can get respite. And so it's very important, isn't it?
Sure is.
We need people to come to these activities and give money and do those kinds of things.
We would love for it to be sold out.
Love for it to be sold out, and it's very, very easy. I think on the screen there are some numbers, maybe even a website, but you can call the number on the screen and you can say, what I'd really like is to buy a table, or I would like to sponsor a table. I believe, I'm not sure what all the prices are, but I know that you can sponsor a table for not a lot of money, or if you just have 5 or 6 other people who you want to come in and they pay a little bit, boy, it is well worth the evening. Is a fun, fabulous evening. They have a great time.
People don't need to know trivia. They don't. This is not the kind that you go to restaurants and you've got some serious trivia folks there. It really is in good nature for all of that, and so
it's fun.
I want people who have been saying or said over the holidays, "Gosh, we need to get together." Those people need to put a team together and be there on March 3rd, because that's the group that is going to have so much fun, learn a little bit about ADS, raise some money for us, and
have a great team experience.
It'll be wonderful.
It will. It's you make it sound so exciting. We're all going to go out and buy tickets right now.
Oh, yay.
I hope we
Just
do.
give us a call.
You know, Adina, when we're talking about this and we're talking about folks who have Alzheimer's, do you find that there are people who you see there at ADS, at Dorothy's Place, who are at different levels of function?
For sure.
How does that work?
There's no question. You know, as I think you were alluding to, the famous saying is, if you've seen one case of Alzheimer's or any kind of dementia, you've seen one case. Every case is different. Every family dynamic is different. But the criteria to come to our program is to have a diagnosis of dementia. And, you know, sometimes people think they're too early in an early stage, but often that's when they can benefit the most from our program, from staying active, staying social, and being stimulated. So that early stage is really, it's often not too early. You know, and sometimes people think, how am I going to get them to come there? But we suggest that perhaps tell your family member that they're coming here to volunteer, to help us. And everybody wants to feel needed and fulfilled, and if they feel they're coming to us to volunteer, that they have a whole different perspective. It's not like I'm just going, you know, to stay somewhere, or, you know, it really makes people want to come and feel, and we really do help people feel needed. People do help us, you know, put the silverware together, wipe down our mats, sweep the floors, you know, help put together music sheets. We really do have people working for us.
I love I've tasted those cookies before. I love those cookies.
I know.
You know, at every event I am, somebody seems to bring some of those cookies that the participants have made. And, you know, I think about that and think, you know, for someone who is losing pieces of their life, to be able to do something that reminds them of normal, that reminds them of that they can still do something, reminds them of something perhaps they've done for years, but now and maybe, and sometimes this happens, maybe they're not able to do it in their home anymore. Maybe they have to have supervision all the time. But for them there to be with other people who are doing that same thing, still under supervision, but I think there just allows for that freedom of expression. And you mentioned that earlier, I think, when you said the arts and things, just being able to cognitively get back there and fire up those pleasure centers of things that you've done before, but maybe you haven't felt like you could do in a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what we say. We're looking at their abilities, not their disabilities. And I think we try to help the families to learn to do the same thing at home, to try to model that sense of the patience. You know, our staff, people sometimes think, you know, they'll call us, you're not going to be able to handle them, you're not going to be able to handle them. But we explain, our staff is very well experienced and has dealt with many of these issues, day in and day out. And we have our support groups where we talk about these issues and how the best way to try to handle them. We also have a newsletter we send out monthly called Care Lines to caregivers, and that goes out to anybody it might be helpful for. And I think you were alluding to that before also. I think the beauty of our program is we really want to help people. We're not, we really are in people's best interest to try to make their life that is turned upside down just a little bit more manageable.
Absolutely.
I think when families worry about what am I going to say, how am I going to get them in the car, how am I going to explain this, and the truth is I saw Ruth Ann one time working with a client and a family before your client got there, and I know that what she said was, we've got it. We need to see what is going to happen, and we'll take it from there. And so when you are worried about this is never going to work, he walks all the time, or he's up all the time, or he won't follow my direction, or he's said no a million times, or she has. The family worries about those things. They worry about them in all of those settings. I think if they're going to visit Alzheimer's Day services, or if they're going to come to an assisted living, or even a retirement community, or any of those things. And the truth is, in Memphis, we have a lot of resources, a lot of professionals that I think would be hard pressed to be surprised by something, that they are going to handle it. So the family just needs to commit to, this is something I can do for my mom, because you do feel helpless in so many of the things that are going on with your mom or your dad. In some cases, it's a husband or a wife. And it is truly something you can do for them, and if you can position it that way. I know Ruth Ann talks about also trying to remember what the story is, if they came to volunteer, or if they came to work, or if they were going to be the cook for the day, and trying to remember as she says goodbye, or the staff says goodbye, what was their job? Why did they? Yeah. What was their role that day?
That's so fun. I think both of you have said this, both from Carriage Court perspective with that assisted living piece, and it is just a very gorgeous place there.
Thanks.
And from Alzheimer's Day Services and the great work that you all do. One thing is for sure, and that is that we never ever all our lives lose that need to be social, lose that need to have somebody who looks like they're about our age to talk about things. And for folks who are compromised with dementia, being able to get back there to that remote memory and talk about the war and talk about the Great Depression and those kinds of things keeps them feeling like they know something, because it's so frustrating when you're losing yourself piece by piece. And a lot of these people realize, they will tell you, I have Alzheimer's. It's not like you don't see everybody in the late stage where they don't know.
Right.
And so those things are so very important, and I think that's what certainly both of your facilities do. From that ADS perspective of taking someone and giving them a sense of pride about who they are, a sense of knowing I belong somewhere.
Right,
I
building their
belong
confidence.
Here. Right, building their confidence. Those are the great things, and I think when you have that jewel, everybody needs to know about that, and I don't think people do sometimes.
No, people say we're the best kept secret.
Yeah, but I know that people can come by if they want to, both at Dorothy's Place, both at Carriage Court. If you want a tour, if you want to go see the good work that's being done, certainly come on. I know you both have facilities that are open like that, and I think that's important.
Definitely, and I'd like to point out also that our support groups, which I mentioned, at both locations, they are open to the public.
Oh, great.
So you don't have to be enrolled in our program to come to a support group. And one of the services we offer is we will watch your loved one free of charge while you, the caregiver, attend our support group. And that's often a good way to get a sense of how your loved one might feel coming to our center.
Wow.
And
That's awesome.
I think that's a good thing.
That is a great thing, and they can call the number on the screen and you'll let them know when those support groups are. And I'll tell you what else you guys do that I absolutely love is you do virtual dementia tours sometimes.
correct,
And can you explain that a little bit? Because I love that.
Sure. It is virtual dementia training is to give caregivers or staff. I think we've done it with your staff, to train staff who deals with dementia, and more importantly, I think the family to get some sense of what that person who has dementia is experiencing. Okay. Of course, we don't really know what's going on inside somebody's brain, or what they're really feeling, but I think everybody with dementia is feeling a sense of loss of independence, a sense of confusion, and that virtual dementia experience is 5 minutes. And it's safe, it's not frightening, but it's just to sensitize a person to that sense of confusion and disorientation that the person with dementia is experiencing. And we've had caregivers walk out of there, just crying like, now I understand a little more, and it really does give you a whole different perspective and outlook to what the person is
Again, the
experiencing.
number on the screen, and you can let somebody know when that's going to happen. They can get on your mailing list. ADS does so many things, even things that we're just not even talking about right now. I mean, it would take us all day to say the good things that Alzheimer's Day Services does, and does for our community, does for families. So, first of all, we just want to salute you guys for the great work that you do. Ruth Ann Shelton over there, she's top notch, and the staff is just fabulous, and like you said,
that's what makes
so
it.
skilled.
That's what
So
really makes
skilled.
the program a wonderful, caring, warm staff.
It does. So we're saying support this program, and by doing that, if you would come to trivia night, which is March the 3rd,
Right.
It's a Saturday, and get your teams together. For those of you out there who say, I don't really know what this is, you don't even have to know. Do you want to have a good time? Do you want to have fun? Do you? If you do, this is the event you want to go to. Call them. Ask them about those tickets. I can tell you they're incredibly affordable. They really are. There are very few people who won't be able to afford them, and it is a wonderful night, and all to do all the great things that you just mentioned. It's all for that, and we want to be supportive. We appreciate Carriage Court, I'm sure, and their sponsorship, which is awesome, sponsoring the best desserts that you will ever put in your mouth. Pieces of cake this big. Wear elastic in your, you got to wear something that gives. You have to do that. You have to check your ego at the door, and get ready for the ride of your life. So we're excited about it. So we want everybody to come. We want to thank you guys for being here, and we want to say to you, Adina, and to the staff there at Alzheimer's Day Services, congratulations on what you do. The number on the screen will give you the information that you need to call and to say, I'm interested in that virtual dementia tour. I'm interested in knowing a little bit more about what my loved one's going through. I really don't know that I want to put him in daycare right now. I don't know that I want to put him in day service, but I am going to need a little break, and I would love to come to Caregivers Support Group just to learn who other people are. And then if I want to put my loved one there, you'll work with me through it. You'll work with me through every piece of it. Thank you so much, Adina. Thank you so much, Beth. It's been great. And we'll see everybody there on March 3rd.
All right.
Great. I hope so.
Thanks.
Thank you.